This is going to be a garden room. Unlike any other garden room we built, this one is made of recyclable material.
And it comes in a crate. So we travelled down to the lovely seaside resort of Canvey Island to show you how quick we can build one.
Let's start by getting it out of the box.
And that was just a simple case of removing the screws and then getting ourselves a hammer and prying out the little pieces on top because we didn't want to completely destroy it. That would allow us to keep some of the bits inside.
Merry Christmas!
Someone may want to update Brad on the date that you actually celebrate Christmas on.
The box is open. We're going to lay some cardboard out and get it in order.
Lucky they supplied this cardboard with the package. I suppose if you've got like a bit of grass, you'll be alright. But for us, we didn't have any grass, so we used the cardboard that come in the packaging to stack out all the different sized pieces, and we wouldn't have to worry about them getting scratched on the rough floor underneath. We've stacked everything as much as we need to so we can get to all of the individual pieces. We've got some in the crate and we've got some on the floor. With all of the different sized pieces stacked, it was time to open up the little box. Definitely need this. Yes, we definitely do. Do not throw the instructions. This particular build is actually a demonstration one, so we're going to be putting it on some composite bearers. We're not mounting it down because it is just a display, but if you was doing it, you want to get yourself a nice concrete base or even a composite base. With this being a demo one, we just set these out onto the floor with no fixings, making sure it was as square as we could possibly get it. That way we had something solid to fix our building down to. That's our temporary base done. So remember, if you are doing this, you're going to want yourself a proper concrete base or a proper composite base. But for us, this is just a demo. Now let's go and get our first rails put on the floor. With all the pieces being lettered and numbered, this wasn't too hard to find. It was two slightly wider ones and two slightly thinner ones, and they literally just interlock. This step right here is actually probably one of the most important in your whole build, and that is to check our diagonals, because we want a square frame to start with, and then everything else should be nice and smooth.
Spinning facts.
Don't know why I did the water, that's not smooth, is it? What's that? That's rough. It should be nice and rough. Now we know the build's going to be nice and rough, we check our diagonals and make sure the start is completely square. The base rails are now perfectly square, so we can start sliding in our composite. So we're going to be going 5 high on these tiny little ones, and then we're going to be going 4 high on the two sides with the bigger ones. Just like the beginning, these are also numbered, so it's not too hard to find which ones you need to put in first. So we start by sliding in the 2 smaller pieces and 1 long on the back before doing the same on the sides. And it's just a case of repeating that same process to work your way up. And unlike a lot of TNG stuff we've used before, this one was super easy to put together. Normally we need a mallet, but this one we just use our hands.
We're a little way into this build, and if you're enjoying it, just remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and we're going to put the door frame in.
And the door frame comes all together, so we just lay out the 4 pieces that are going to make it. Now we're 5 high on the front, it says that we need to put our frame together, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. These little bits here we've just struggled quite a bit with, but we're going to show you how it's done so you don't struggle, because once you know, you know. So you get this little corner piece and you get these 2 little metal shims. We're going to loosen this bracket off, not all the way, just a bit, so something like that. And then it's got these little springy buttons here. We're going to pop one side into the long length for the hinges until it clicks. Like so. So once you've got one side clicked in, you want to put these little shims, so there's a little bobble, we want to put that out so it creates a little bit of friction and holds itself. One on each side. And that is what we want. And then we're going to push this second springy side into the other one, which is, for us, this is the bottom, but it doesn't matter, top or bottom. And then we line everything up until it clicks. So in here, that's that little springy button, so we want to open up that Allen key until that clicks into position. So the Allen key is just there, so we can undo that until we get it to fit. And once that piece has clicked into position, we can take our Allen key, this comes with it, or get one on a drill, and we're just going to tighten up through that little hole at an angle like this, and that's going to pull this mitre nice and tight. You need to repeat this process 4 times, making sure that all of those mitres are nice and tight. Now it's time to put our frame in. Like the rest, this is super easy. You just literally slide it over the pieces we've already installed, and that is the frame in position. So the frame's in. Well, just remember, when you put this in, you've got 2 hinges at the top and 1 at the bottom, and the doors are going to open out. So that little sill, the little fluffy sill, that's going to sit towards the back. With the frame for the doors in position, we can now start to build up the rest of the walls, and that's done in the same way that we did the first few. Some on the front, some on the sides, some on the front, some on the sides. We've built that building up as much as we can. We've got 1 of the number 3s left, so this is when we need to look at our vents that go in the back. We've got 2 small pieces, 2 vents, and then this slightly longer piece that's going to sit in the middle. So let's put this on around the back, and then we can put that last piece on. These all just slot into position. When you put these in, obviously you want those to face downwards, because you don't want to let in all the rain now, do ya? You get that. There we go. Oh, I like it. Right, before we put any more on there, we've got to put the rest of the sides, but they're slightly different now. Come with me. These are a different size, so this is slightly longer than everything we've used, and then this is longer again because it's going to step the front off for our apex sort of overhang that we've got, so we're going to get them on now. And it starts with the shorter of the 2 long ones. Oh, I'm a little bit too small. I can barely reach. I'm 6'9" as well. Last one on the back. And then we've got 1 more for each side. These are longer again, so as you can see, it's going to give us like an overhang for the front. And with these last pieces on, that is the main walls completely finished.
Now we're putting the apex on the wall.
And this part is going to take 2 people. Get a ladder, definitely get a ladder.
I love it more than my step ladder.
This is my step ladder. I love it like my real ladder. I really couldn't even say it right.
I couldn't even say. I got excited about the joke and I couldn't say it.
Something to note here when we're putting these apexes on is 1, I wish I was a little bit taller. 2, they're slightly different. So the one with the 3 close supporting brackets on the back goes on the back, and then this one's got 2 that are wider because obviously we need to get round our doors. So they're the same but slightly not. Once we established that they are the same but not the same, we could get some fixings into those supporting brackets, and that's going to stop those apexes from falling off. While I was putting the fixings in, I got Dan to pull down on them just to make sure everything was nice and tight. That's lovely. The door frame now needs fixing into position, so we're going to check that our leg, so this upright, is completely level or plumb, which it is, and then we're putting 2 screws next to each hinge. The reason we put them next to the hinges is because that is where most of the pulling is going to be done by the doors. So we want all of our support on the hinges. That side's fixed and plumb. Now we're just going to check that the bottom's level and this side is plumb, and then we're going to put screws across the other side. We just repeat the exact same process.
Exactly.
Making sure everything is still completely plumb and level as we do it, because we don't want an uneven opening. And that is the main shell of this building pretty much complete. We're going to now put on the rafters. Are these rafters? I think they're rafters, but these are going on anyways, and they're slightly different. So this has got a slightly bigger notch out of it, and that's going to go in the middle to get over those little braces that are in here. I'm pretty sure you'd consider this a ridge, not a rafter, but who cares? We just put the metal part into the building. The last 2, they're also different. So we've got the middle one that's pitched like this, and then if you look at these, they're both angled slightly different. So this one for us is going to be the left and the other one's going to be the right, but make sure you check that because obviously we want it sloping away. And that will become important when we start to install the slats onto the roof. And to install these, it's like the rest of the building, it's all T&G, so you just slide it into position and pull it down over the previous part. New day, because the sun is back out. Not really, it's just great, but at least it's light. Last night we got these 3 in, so these are the main beams that are going to hold our roof. Now we need to put together the bit that goes around the outside.
What's that called?
I don't know.
We're going to figure it out.
The metal thing. We're figuring this bit out so you don't have to. And now that we have, come on down. So we've got these little U brackets. So on these shorter pieces, we're going to rivet those into the pre-drilled holes. And then on the ends, some more pre-drilled holes. And we're going to put the little L brackets on. And they actually face in. With all of the parts figured out, we put our brackets on and started to rivet them in place. So we've got our little L brackets on here. Now we're going to do the little U ones so they sit in the middle. And again, that is already pre-drilled. So we ain't got to measure it. Everything's pretty much self-explanatory. So all the holes are already drilled. So you can't really go wrong when you start to attach all this stuff. That's 2. Now let's do another 2. If you do buy one of these, just remember you are going to need a little hand riveter or even an electric riveter, and we will link all of the tools you need in the description below. That's the short pieces done, so we've got our brackets on those bits. Now we need to put some corners on the longer sections. So these are the little corners, and we've actually got to drill these ones. So we slide them into the ends. And then we've got ourselves a 4.5mm bit, and we're just going to drill through into those brackets. So we hold them in tight and run our drill through. If any of you do buy one of these from Composite Kings, old Danny boy, you want to be pulling off all of this protective film before you do all this, but because this is a display one, we're leaving all of ours on.
And he is giving you a discount code as well. We don't know what it is yet, but we'll put it in the description below.
As you can see by my face, me and Dan had no idea you was getting a discount, but it turns out you are. It's really coming together now. Not only was it coming together, it was coming together very quickly. So you don't need a lot of tools for this, and you also don't need a lot of time. We'd only spent a few hours building this up to this point here. We've got all of our brackets put on, and we've got our corners put on. Next we need to put up the front, so the section here, and that is made up of 2 of the smallers, so left and right. So I'm going to try and do it by myself because Brad's lazy. And that's exactly what I did while Brad sat and watched TikTok, enjoying all of the lovely cat videos. So I slid the pieces into position, and then using our riveter, we slid in the rivets into all of the pre-drilled holes. You haven't got to drill these out, you just got to slide it in, and then you can start to rivet it all into position. With 2 installed on the front, I then moved on to the back to do the exact same process.
That is the front bit on, and the back. Now it's time to install the side bit.
That side bit is the piece that we installed those corners into earlier. So we slide it into the other piece, and we need to drill out the holes so that we can get in the rest of our rivets, and that is going to complete the outside of the brackets we need to take the roof. And guys, if you are watching this on your TV, please remember to like and subscribe. That's the main frame all put together and riveted. Next in the instruction list is these little things. So these little caps are going to go in all the ends of the boards, and you literally, so it's got like a little small square that goes on the bottom.
You'd say this is the most challenging part of the...
This is the really hard bit, this bit. And then you just go around. I've got the hammer out like I was going to need it though. I don't think I'm going to need this.
It's a race, Dan. It's a race.
What, you want to go, do you?
Go! Come on!
He was ahead though, so...
Yeah, you got to keep going. Come on, Phil. Go.
I'm going.
This is neck and neck. It's getting tense. Oh, and you're one shot. And you're one shot. Who's won? Oh, no. Oh, oh, oh. There's one more! There's one more! Oh no! Finish you! The undisputed clip winner is Philly!
I just want to thank all my fans and my trainer, my coach have really helped me put it together today.
Cheater.
Dan's a sore loser.
It was difficult towards the middle of the round, but luckily I've trained for this, so the stamina come in, and yeah, I managed to pull it together. Luckily for me. I'm sure Dan's going to go back to his training camp, review the footage and see where he can improve.
It was a very good competition apart from Phil Cheese. I'll get him next year.
He's going to do a lot. You're going to do a lot more training.
Yeah, part 2.
I just want to let you guys know that this is in the instruction manuals to find 2 people to have a fair war in the clips installation.
We can now get our roof on, so we've got some TNG slats we've got to run all the way through. We're going to do one side and then we're going to do the other, and it's 6 screws per slat. The way we decided would be best to do this is to start on the very first one on one side, and then we moved our ladder inside. That way we could access all of the boards to get our fixings in as we went. So I positioned my ladder so we could get 2 or 3 slats in. Someone slid it up, making sure it was flush with the front, and I then screwed it all down. That way it was a lot quicker and a lot faster, and we didn't have to worry about falling off the roof if we climbed up on it. So we got one side down before moving on to the other side and doing the exact same thing. Last piece, I'm so excited. And I was excited because this is probably the longest part of the build. It's just a lot of screws, but it's still not difficult to do. It just takes a bit of time.
We're about to install the rubber roof, and a little top tip: if you get yourself a carpet tube, a bit of drainage, we're going to roll the rubber roof in it, and it's going to make it a lot easier to install.
We laid our rubber out and started to roll it up onto the cardboard tube, ready for installation.
In our head, we're thinking glue the whole roof, have it on the pole, push.
I don't think push, I think ladder.
Nah, I think we'll send it.
While we considered whether to send it or not, Brad got on with rolling out the glue onto the roof, and then we re-rolled our roof, and we decided to do it a completely different way. We folded it in half, rolled it across one side, and then flapped it over the other. The rubber is laid out, we're back in the shop, so we're going to let that tack off for a little while. But while we're waiting, we're going to install our lock and handle into the door. This is another super easy thing to do. We just slide in our bar and then we slide in the 2 halves of the handle, making sure the side with the screw holes goes inside your building, because obviously you don't want someone taking your handle off in the middle of the night. We then install the lock, line up the retaining screw, and that can then be tightened. The whole time we're installing this, I'm always checking the lock and handle works as it should. Now that we've got our lock on, we've just got to slot them in to the hinges in the frame we installed. So let's go and get these in. No tools needed for this. You literally just slide the 2 halves together. I started with the left door, locked into position before moving on to the side with the handle. Made sure it all closed as it should, and then we moved on to finally trimming up the roof we'd installed earlier.
We're installing the trims on the side. We're leaving it long, so when we put the screws in, we got something to drag down on, and then when we put our standing blade up in there, it will still give you a seamless finish.
Now that we've got our trims on the side, we're going to use a sharp knife, and then we're just going to angle up underneath and cut all of the excess rubber that we don't need. When it comes to this part, you need to make sure your knife is super sharp. If you need to change it halfway through, do. It's going to make everything a lot cleaner. And now we can start cutting in the rest of our trims. On the little apex bit where you need to do the little mitre, I just cut that roughly because we're going to be installing something over the top, so you're never going to see that joint. Anyway, and while I'm doing that difficult part, Brad and Dan are messing about on the other side, pretending that they're also doing some work. But I'm sure they wasn't. So I then screw on the final piece where the apex is before trimming off the rubber and removing the protection and installing that fancy little piece that covers the mitre that we cut in the roof trims. Oh, fancy seeing you lot here. So that is it, it is complete. If you want to grab one, head over to Composite Kings. There's also a discount in the description below. This one was a little bit of a short one because we have been working in the background on something a lot bigger, and these next few videos might actually float your boat.
So just remember guys, if you're enjoying these videos, hit the like and subscribe and that bell notification to get regular videos. We will see ya on the next one. Love you, bye.